If I was in that case, I'd have called out Travis Kelce, and I'd have laid out my case. I'd say, number one, because your calendar's opened up. Number two, much like Shara Bullet said, you're only 3 victories away from a title shot. And number three, your girlfriend Taylor has been ripping off my wife Brittany's gimmick for years.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Daniel Cormier. That's Chael Sonnen. Chael P, you're in Vegas, getting ready. It's you versus me. It starts tomorrow. Hey, last minute, I just added another coach, and I'm excited about it.
I can't wait to hear about that. I'm in a jam. I actually had a coach bail out. I went to another guy that strung me along, just informed me he won't be joining us, and I've got until roughly 3 o'clock today to have that sorted out. So I will see you at orientation, but I don't know if I'll have my staff with me.
Dude, I'll be there at orientation. It's like we're going to orientation. It's like back in high school when you first walk in to orientation. Hey, Chael, the Ultimate Fighter starts tomorrow. But last weekend, actually, I just got off the plane right now. Sydney, I got back from Sydney at 10 o'clock. I got back to my house. Bro, I slept 9 hours on the plane, popped 2 sleeping pills. Most sleep I've gotten on a flight home in a really long time. But we were in Sydney for Dricus Du Plessis to fight against Sean Strickland for a second time. You know, Dricus Du Plessis retains. But not only does he retain, he wins the fight in much more dominant fashion. What did you make of DDP? And is it time for everyone to kind of go, okay, this guy is the best middleweight. Let's stop acting like the next guy's going to beat him. He's the best in the world.
Daniel, that's a very loaded question. And when you talk about DDP, I don't get it. I don't understand why he's having this level of success. I mean, Daniel, he's dominating people. His defense is so on point. Sean didn't not just fail to take him down. Sean never even tried to take him down. Like Sean, and there's certain things that are in a fight that only the guy can feel. The audience, no matter how good you are, can't quite break it down. But Sean could not feel an opening to even close the distance to try to grab the guy. Sean is wonderful defense. He slips, he pulls out of the way just a little bit. DDP did Sean back to him better. He's blocking the leg kicks, he's blocking the body punches, he's blocking everything to the head. I mean, there wasn't a meaningful part of that fight where if you were studying DDP, you could break it down to your coach, but you go, okay, that's where we exploit him. When we fight him, we need to exploit that area. We didn't see any weaknesses. I mean, it was a total of 25 minutes, and 25 minutes was won by Dricus. And I'm just sharing with you, like, I don't know where his massive skill comes from. He doesn't look like the sharpest kickboxer to me. He's got pretty aggressive hands, and he's got a couple of kicks that are pretty slick. I can't go any further than that. His wrestling appears to be on point to the point that guys don't even want to engage with him, but I haven't actually seen the takedowns and the scrambles. I mean, and this is all meant as a compliment, because to your second part of your question, is it time that we all admit that Dricus is just very good? Yes, I'm there. I am admitting that. However, he is an underdog for his very next fight against Chimaev, and history says the dominant grappler versus the dominant striker. We've been testing that theory all the way back to 1993, and it's just one of these situations where nobody's going to look at him as truly the best of his era unless he gets through Chimaev. But once we do that, Daniel, it's going to be a big problem of does he even stick around in the weight class any longer?
You know what I love about what you just said was I can't figure why he's having this level of success. And guess what? Sean Strickland seemed to be feeling the same way on Saturday night because they knew Chael. He has a great coaching staff. Eric Nixick is one of the greatest coaches in the world, has coached some of the best fighters in the world. They knew what they had to do. They told everyone what they had to do. We've got to be more aggressive. We've got to be fighting at a place or at a point that when the rounds end, you aren't just going, well, it could go here or it could go there. Because what we have learned about Du Plessis is that when he is in those close rounds, he does just enough to steal them, right? He might blitz you at the end of the round and land a kick. Or he might just keep throwing things to where the judges are going, well, this guy's throwing more than the other. After round 1, I said, well, it's the same fight. I go, I know what Sean told us he needed to do, what he has to do to win. But round 1 was just a continuation of what we saw in round 3, 4, 5, and 2 and 1 in fight 1. Because every round you went, well, that was close. I don't know who won, but I guess gun to the head, I give it to Dricus. It is exactly what he was doing. So being confused by what's in front of you seems to be one of his greatest superpowers. He throws that little flip kick with his left leg from the front. He throws, dude, I watched him one time, chill, throw a jab and then jump over with his hand and punch Sean Strickland like this. He literally reached over and he punched him with his hand. It's just a different type of approach. And I talked to his coach afterwards. He goes, what did you give his performance? I go, dude, honestly, 9. He just beat the #1 contender, 5 rounds to 0. He goes, I thought that was maybe a 7. He goes, because he's that much better in the training room. I go, bro, come on. That was as good as it gets. But this dude, Duplessis, is so good and he's so confusing to so many people that it's going to be difficult to beat him. He's the world champion. He's the best in the world. He is the underdog again, which to me, honestly, dude, they've got to stop making these champions underdogs against these fighters because time and time again, the champion is proven to be better. But it's time to give Dricus his flowers. But you are just like everyone else, Shell P. It's like, how? How? He leaves you with this idea like trying to explain why he does so well. But with that being said, right, Duplessis retains the championship. He beat Strickland much more dominantly. Dude, when he broke his nose, Shell, the amount of blood that came out of Sean Strickland's face, I couldn't even watch it. Then Strickland breaks it back in place. I saw Sean on the bus yesterday coming home. I go, what did they do to you at the hospital? He goes, nothing. They said that when I reset it good. So there was nothing more they could do. So in the middle of the fight, he grabs his nose and goes, puts it back in place. The doctors are like, well, you did a pretty good job. And so they let him go home. But when you look at Dricus, right, and you look at him after, he's on the mic, and I got to take some credit for that. I don't really feel like I had a great night of post-fight interviews. I didn't like my interviews, but I haven't really done one since November. I haven't done a post-fight interview since November. So I felt a little bit odd, and I don't know that I helped Dricus in his post-fight interview. But when he calls out Pereira or walks towards him, do you think that's the right move?
Interesting. Interesting that you wore a little bit of that yourself, because I thought it was a very good job. I didn't quite know at times with Dricus what he was going for. For example, he was at a press conference. In fact, it was after the fight. He looked like he's made up with Izzy, and he's looked like he made up with Sean Strickland. And at the press conferences, he mentions that he thinks that would be a great fight. Have Strickland and Izzy rematch. You could even do that on a fight night. And so when he slips it into the fight night, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Were you just insulting them? Or were you really trying to get behind a potential rematch? And I just couldn't tell. So when he was in the ring, he's cutting a promo talking up Strickland, but making sure he talked himself over Strickland. And then he looked like he was going to approach Pereira. But Dricus is such a handsome guy, Daniel, that he can do things and come off charismatic. And I'm not certain that's his intent. I'm not certain that he isn't throwing some pretty good smoke in these guys' face. He just does it with a level of charm that he gets away with it.
Yeah. You know, Chael, he's a different guy, right? And he smiles. He told me, he said, hey, before you were my favorite fighter. He goes, then you became my favorite commentator. Then I hated you because you would laugh at me on air. He goes, you were actually laughing at me. One time I tried a takedown, and I thought it went really well. He goes, and you're laughing at my lateral drop. I said, well, Dricus, if it was bad, I'm sorry, I apologize. He goes, but then, he goes, now, I'm coming back around on you, but it's all like how you perceive that fighter, how they perceive you taking them in. Dricus has a way of making people take him in a positive way. One person, though, who had some negative things to say, not about Dricus, but about Sean Strickland, was our good friend Dean Thomas.
And Dean Thomas, who's as good of a mind as you're going to come across, he's also a very nice person, was pretty hot towards Strickland. And he said, listen, I feel like it was a fraud. I feel like the way he sold this fight and said he was willing to walk through fire, willing to die out there is not the way he competed. Yep. And I feel cheated. I feel that Sean let us down. That was what Dean Thomas was saying. If I was to respond to that, I've had that feeling before. I don't like that feeling. Mine goes back to Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. And Mike grabbed the microphone and apologized to everybody. And I remember thinking, well, then you need to give us our money back. If you come out and you say, I only said those things to hype something, like there's no retail business in the world. You can sell something openly lying that with the product. And that is a very bad feeling. I just saw something different with Sean. I really thought as a Sean supporter, I can live with this. The only thing Sean ever wanted was a fair adjudication to see if he, in fact, should have that championship. That's all he wanted. That's what he got. and he got his ass kicked in the process, but that was the kind of meeting where he can move on with his life. And as a Sean fan, I was impressed when he broke his nose and stayed out there when that blood was coming down, when it wasn't working on his feet, and he never once tried to take it to the ground. He just stayed on his feet and tried to figure out the problem. He stayed in the fire. I was proud of him, Daniel.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I've seen this now a couple times, and I get what Dean is saying, and I love Dean Thomas. He's one of my best buds in this business. I think he's one of the smartest guys in the world. The amount of time he spends traveling to different gyms to gain knowledge of the fighters and help with fighters is like nobody else in the sport. This is where I disagree with my friend. Sean Strickland didn't lie to you, or if he did, he didn't do it intentionally. Sean Strickland was forced into fighting a fight different than he intended to because Dricus was so much better than he was supposed to be. That's why Sean Strickland didn't fight that fight like he thought he was going to fight. He didn't fight it by choice. He did that because he had no answers. He couldn't do anything to Duplessis. And like you said earlier, Chael, nobody knows what that fighter's feeling outside of that fighter. So when I say Dricus jumped and punched him, I don't know that doesn't hurt hard as I do if I sit down on a punch because I've never been hit by Dricus. He does it so many times. He does it so well. Or those little flip kicks he does. You know how Dricus like kicks you to the body. It doesn't seem like those kicks would hurt, but it scores and it must. We don't know what he was feeling in there with Dricus Duplessis. That's why he was forced to fight that way. He couldn't have done anything different. And there was frustration. There was honestly frustration on my part on the side. I was like, same fight. There was frustration on Coach Nick Zick's side. He was like, he couldn't though. And that's the only area that I disagree with my man Dean. Because there are times where you get in there and you think something's going to be a certain way and it doesn't happen and you kind of go into a show. Hey, we saw with Colby Covington and Leon Edwards. You think Colby wanted to fight like that? No, Leon kicked him in the body and he couldn't get the first takedown. And he was like, oh my God, like that sucks. Like this is much different than I expected. I remember fighting John Jones. And the idea was I was supposed to take him down right away. I shot on him, didn't take him down. I went, oh my God, it's gonna be a long night. Now you got to just start fighting. He didn't have the opportunity, bro. Dricus is just better than people give him credit for. He was forced to fight that way, and that's why he fought the fight that he fought. And I disagree with Dean on that.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And when you asked me earlier if I was in DDP's spot, who would I call out? It gets a little bit complicated just because DDP has got so many bodies, whether it was directly, indirectly, or by proxy. He's got so many middleweights in the rearview mirror. I think you've got the obvious one of going after Alex Pierre. The problem is with going after Alex. Alex has a signed contract for Ankalaev, and DDP knows full well he's got to go fight Chimaev. So now he doesn't help himself. He just puts Pierre over. And I think when these guys talk about legacy, Daniel, if you ever want to see a fighter confused, ask him to define what he means by the word legacy. And there's no fighter that's ever thought that far. Most of them can't spell the word legacy, but they damn sure can't define it. And all legacy is when you're gone, how are you going to be remembered? It's as simple as that. And how long your reign was is greatly relevant. If you get out, well, there's still guys on top. DDP, for example, right now, he retires from the sport. He's always going to be questioned for not taking on the undefeated #1 ranked Chimaev, just by example. But with that in mind, with that piece of psychology in mind, I like the idea of DDP going after Bo Nickel. Now, hear me out on that. Why Bo? Well, because Bo's completely undefeated. He's an up-and-comer. He's the youngest guy. He's the most likely guy of that entire bunch to go on to be a future champion. And he's 3 years of victories from ever working his way into a #1 title shot. So DDP can harmlessly go out and punk some of these other guys. And they never think like that. They always call it guys in the top 3 or 4 or 5. Call a guy out that's really hard, who you'll never have to face. I mean, it's one of the great strategies to do. To call out Alex Pierre right now when you know he's got his hands full with Ankalaev is a very safe strategy to do. So the Bo was more just to open your eyes and get your mind working. I mean, if it was actually me, if I was in that cage, I'd have called out Travis Kelce, and I'd have laid out my case. I'd say, #1, because your calendar's opened up. #2, much like Shara Bullitt said, you're only 3 victories away from a title shot. And #3, your girlfriend Taylor has been ripping off my wife Brittany's gimmick for years.
Yeah.
For years.
That would have been good. That would have been good. Chael, you know what's interesting to me? Or you get to fight Bo Nickel when he's not ready. Hey, Floyd Mayweather kind of made a career of that. Oh, you think Canelo Alvarez is great? Let me fight him when he's 21 years old, not 25 when he's in his prime. Oh, you want me to fight Manny Pacquiao? He's so great, right? Manny Pacquiao, let him get to the end of the career when he's not nearly as dangerous, right? So you would take him early or you take him late. Floyd Mayweather made a career of beating those dangerous guys at the right time. And yes, but I'll tell you this. You know what's funny? I tried it, dog. I tried to pull it one time. Dricus goes, I want Alex Pereira. But in reality, you say, I want to fight Pereira. But you know he's got to fight. And also, you know that Chimaev's waiting, right? Chimaev could be a problem. You want to steer clear of him a little bit, right?
Of course.
I remember being in Buffalo, Chael, 2017. Oh, this was the best. I thought it was going to work, too, because of the placement of the seating. The placement of the seating. If you are inside the corral, you are an important person at a UFC event. Then there's the fighters that are right behind the barrier where the fighters walk out. I'm in the cage. I beat Rumble. And they asked me on the microphone, DC, so what's next? The moment Rogan goes, I yell at Jimmy Manuwa. Jimmy Manuwa has won 3 fights in a row. People are excited about him. I know that I'm smashing Jimmy Manuwa. And Jimmy Manuwa is inside the corral. Off to the left is John Jones. He's behind the fighter deal. He's behind the fighter deal. I tried to no-sell him because I knew that dude, John Jones, was going to be much tougher than Jimmy Manuwa. I was like, should we get another title defense? I'm trying to get another title defense. But that's exactly what I felt Dricus did. Hey, I'm not trying to... See, hey, I tried to get the easier fight. It was not hidden. I wanted the easier night at the office. He called for a hard night. So I'm calling... Hey, guys, I'm not calling out for an easy fight. I don't want an easy guy. I'm calling the champion at the next weight. All the while, Chimaev's sitting there going, hey, man, I'm next. So fighters know. It's not that you think you're going to lose. It's like, I know it's a harder night at the office. Go fight Jones or try to fight Jimmy Manuwa. To me, it made sense as a businessman. So I tried to no-sell Jones, and then Rogan asked me about him anyways. But that's what happened with Dricus. And in the moment he sat down, people started asking about Chimaev. Dana says he's fighting Chimaev. Then he's instilled as a minus 200 or plus 200 underdog. He knew, and it actually came to fruition. But yeah, he tried. He tried to call out Pereira, but it's going to beat Chimaev.
No, his heart was in the right place. He was thinking about it correctly. I mean, you really are in a tough position. And I must tell you, the words that come out of DDP's mouth, Daniel, this is as vicious of a trash talker as we've ever seen. People are not realizing what he's saying. He doesn't always use profanity. He doesn't often threaten violence, and he can say it with a smile. People are misunderstanding. Dricus is playing the trash talk game at a very high level. People are going to look back in years and study the things he did and go, oh my goodness, that's what he meant that night? Come on, man. He said that Sean Strickland and Izzy, he praised it. What a great match it was. How much people would love that. And then slips in. They could do that on a fight night. Like, come on, man. There's no way that he meant that to be nice. He just looks nice when he says it. This guy's playing a game, man. This guy, and you and I, we got to stay in front of him. And it's going to take both of us because he's good at it.
He's good at it. That's so disrespectful. Hey, you know who's not playing the game? You know who's not a trash talker? Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili, I spoke to her last week, Jill, and I go, Zhang, I said, Weili, because you always say Weili. I say, Weili. She goes, yes, DC. I go, I said, you usually train in Vegas, but this time, like, were you there? Did you run into her? She goes, no, I didn't want to run into her. I'm very shy girl. Hey, and now that's me and Weili's thing, right? Shy girl. I'm shy girl. I go, Weili, you don't have to be shy when you can fight like that. Like, when you can fight like that, Weili, you should be as brash as anyone on the planet. I'm shy girl. Weili said she's so shy, didn't want to run into Tatiana. And she went to Thailand to do her training camp, bro. She goes, I didn't want to run into her. And she goes, if I see her, I just say hi. And then I walk away all week. But then when she gets into the octagon, dude, she's ferocious. She's as good as anybody. But this, even me asking you this, because guys, when Chael and I do the show, while it may seem like we just talk about whatever we want to do, and sometimes it says we're currently off topic, we do have topics that they want to ask. This question here, Chael, proves to me how special that Zhang Weili is. The question I'm supposed to ask you is, did she prove she's the best? fighter in the UFC. Cheryl, not the best female fighter, not the best woman fighting in the world, the best fighter in the entire UFC. That question speaks to the greatness of Zhang Weili.
Yes, yes. And it's not a finished product. I had an argument one time with Dominick Cruz, and we were arguing about what it takes to be the GOAT, the current pound for pound #1, or just the greatest of all time, like George St. Pierre. And one thing that Dominick worked into his argument was popularity, that you must have a mandate from the masses. You cannot even be in consideration. You cannot even be eligible for Michael Jordan-esque status if you don't have a fan base. And I thought, no, the pound for pound and the GOAT, that's specifically what we're trying to avoid. There's no politics. It's purely just skill. But over time, I look back on that argument and I do realize Dominick's point, and I do realize that he's right. Daniel, the reason I say this to you is Tatiana Suarez didn't get her credit going in. Not only have I never seen that girl lose a fight, I'm not aware, and in fact, I'm quite sure that she never has lost a single round. I don't believe she has ever been beat in a round of fighting, and I could even go further. I believe, and this is off the top of my head, I haven't actually looked this up with Andrew, I don't believe she's done anything that wasn't completely dominant. Now, with that said, she wasn't over. Like the audience doesn't know what I just said to be true. The announce team didn't put that out. Dana didn't mention it as a press conference. I mean, it's kind of if a tree falls in the wood and nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. If you're completely undefeated and you're dominant and nobody knows it, doesn't matter. And moreover, so how's Weili supposed to get credit? Weili did not just do something no athlete has done before by winning a fight with Tatiana. Weili did something no athlete has done before. She won 5 rounds off of Tatiana. So I do not wonder or question at all, is Weili talented and skilled? What I wonder is, does she have the skills and the talents to make herself interesting? Because right now, in a co-main event spot against somebody named Tatiana Suarez, who nobody knew very much about, no, you can't go get your credit because of that. What was so impressive with that? You defended a takedown, or you defended the same takedown 4 or 5 times? It's important that you go out and get those things. She should have, with the microphone, been telling everybody how great Tatiana was. She should have built her up and made sure that it was known. She's taking everyone down. She didn't take me down. She's never lost a round. She never won a round against me. She's never lost a fight. I just beat her. She should have done that. And if she wants to be shy, please continue being shy, and you're going to stay in co-main events. And that is the truth.
Chill, that's not Weili though, Chill. And Weili's cool. People like Weili. People like Weili. I never in my life seen someone like that, where when I'm coming into contact with people like, oh, who you calling the fights? I'm like, oh, Zhang Weili. Oh, she's cool, right? She's this cool little Chinese girl.
What do you mean by people think she's cool? Like the audience cheers for her, or like
the
fellow
audience
people in the
thinks she's
locker
cool,
rooms?
like,
Like, yeah, that's a nice girl. What do you mean?
The way she acts, the way she talks. Like, people are like intrigued. Dude, her name is John Magnum Weili. You ever notice like these women are kind of like violent? Like, remember I told you the story about Valentina with the knife? And then when they go, Magnum Zhang Weili, Weili just takes her fingers and point it to the screen like she's got a gun in her head. I'm like, that's cool, Chill. That's cool. I would have never thought to do. Bang, bang. If somebody calls me Magnum Daniel Cormier, it's cool. Anyhow, she goes out there and she dominates. Chill, again, she was the underdog. She could be had at plus 240. Plus 240 for Zhang Weili to win a fight by decision is crazy. Doesn't matter who she's fighting. Tatiana gets the first takedown, and then she never sniffed another one, dude. She dominated her. She was actually able to get the takedowns. And honestly, once again, just looked like the best fighter in the world. I can't say that she's the best fighter in the world, like, in terms of any gender, because John Jones is still fighting. So it's hard to say she's the best fighter in the world. But she is very, very good. She's the best female fighter in the world. She's been that for the last 3 years. She wins the fight in that manner. She dominates in that manner. I remember when Joanna Jacek was the champion, Chael, and she had 6 title fight wins. We never thought we would ever see anyone get close enough to her record to even be considered. Weili's already tied that. She's been the champion twice. If not for Rose Namajunas, nobody has even fought her competitively outside of Joanna in the first fight. It's been Joanna and Rose. Nobody else has been able to compete with this woman. She is special. She is that good. But a lot of the story was the greatness of Tatiana Suarez and the wrestling of Tatiana Suarez. So, MMA Guru, who I really don't know who that is, but the way that Air said it to me today, it means that this person's somebody? Because she goes, did you see what MMA Guru said? And I'm like, well, I have no idea who MMA Guru is, but okay. She said, MMA Guru said, not trusting Chael or DC. He called both of us out. And he said, I'm not trusting USA Wrestling credentials anymore. I've been gaslit for years by the likes of Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen about these monsters that wrestle. To MMA Guru, what do you have to say?
Well, Daniel, to a degree, I've been surprised myself. I mean, in all fairness, back from 1993 on, there's been major dominance in wrestling. Mark Kerr with a purple belt went into Abu Dhabi and ran through that division so easily, they banned Mark Kerr and banned other of our top guys from entering. We went without representation in Abu Dhabi for over 10 years, and they even changed the process to qualifiers and other things just to exclude a wrestler from walking in with no experience and dominating the field. In the UFC, right now, we do not have an NCAA wrestler in the heavyweight class. I did not just say an Olympian. I did not say a world medalist. I did not say an All-American. We do not have a heavyweight. When Stipe retired, that was the last of the heavyweights. Prior to that, there was a guy named Daniel Cormier. We do not have a single NCAA wrestler, not just in the top 10 or top 15. We do not have one under contract with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So where have our wrestlers gone? David Taylor, there was some rumors that he was going to be coming out. David Taylor might be joining us for a couple of days on Tough, Daniel. But David Taylor took the job at Oklahoma State. Kyle Dake would be a great one to transfer over. Chance Marsteller, Jordan Burroughs. But the truth is, whether they be great or not, they're not doing it. Anthony Kazar, who beat Gable Steveson, had 2 matches and he retired. So for MMA Guru to call that out, I will tell you, it has been slow for me to learn this, but the fact that a wrestler used to come and do it, we just don't live in that game anymore. It is such a complete style now. It is not something where you can get through college and then start picking up some boxing lessons on the side and you're good enough for the octagon. That was true at one point. But if Guru is just arguing that these hard, gritty, tough wrestlers isn't enough, he wins this argument. I thought it was, but he does win this argument. Wrestling is not enough, not by itself.
He's wrong, Chael. He's wrong.
Go on.
Just because the best guys aren't coming anymore doesn't mean that wrestling doesn't work. Hell, we're still living in a world right now, Chael. We're living in a world right now where John Jones's background, wrestling. Sure, he was a junior college national champion, but he's a wrestler. At 155, Islam Makhachev's background is combat sambo. And what else? Wrestling. Ilya Taporia, he's a wrestler. These guys are wrestlers. I mean, Merab Dvalishvili, what does Merab do? Wrestling. I've listed you 4 of the 7 champions now that their entire background. Hell, Bilal Muhammad, wrestler.
But Daniel, stay on this. Tell me why Tatiana Suarez, who has a world medal, the highest ranking wrestler, couldn't take down a girl that's never had a wrestling match. Whaley's never even had a match.
So the Hickman brothers out in Muay Thai Bang Tao, those guys are really good coaches. And they taught Whaley how to wrestle offensively. That's the key, Chael. I had a crazy argument with Michael Bisping about this the other day. I go, I believe that if you want to wrestle effectively in the octagon, and I did this at AK, you got to learn to actually wrestle. Chael, you know what I would do with those guys when I was coaching the wrestling there? We would do top and bottom. I'd have Khabib riding. Like, I'd make Khabib get on top of somebody in the referee's position. Because if you can learn to wrestle and you can learn to ride and you can learn to take down people offensively, you learn to take them down defensively, you learn all those little details in the middle that you don't get when you go, I'm starting MMA, I want to make sure I know how to defend takedowns. It doesn't work like that. You got to know how to do it all. Zhang Weili does. Zhang Weili's learning wrestling, not just mixed martial arts wrestling. So, yes, it does feel like it's not as deep with wrestlers because at a time, 205 had myself, Phil Davis, Ryan Bader, Rashad Evans, John Jones, Glover Teixeira. We had like so many wrestlers, you and Mark Munoz, Weidman, just so many wrestlers around the top at those heavier weight classes that now that there aren't as many, it seems like the guys aren't there. They're just not at the heavier weights anymore because those guys are making more money in wrestling, so they're sticking around a little longer. Some are playing football like Stephen Neal did. So there are just like these great wrestlers that aren't coming to fighting as frequently as they used to. But I think MMA Guru's wrong. Sure, Tatiana struggled. But again, she wasn't There were some simple things that she could have done to change what was happening. She kept shooting double legs. You cannot shoot double legs anymore. You got to shoot double legs to switch off to a single leg if you want to take people down. Joe, everybody knows how to defend a double now. It's what you learn the first day you walk into an MMA gym. You got to mix things up, and she didn't really mix things up, and that's why Weili found so much success defending those takedowns. All right, wrestling. I don't want to get too much into this, because now, if this guy comes over, Chael, we will have a heavyweight wrestler. Not only will we have a heavyweight wrestler, we'll have the best heavyweight wrestler in the world coming to mixed martial arts. A lot was made of John Jones being at Minnesota's wrestling match to watch Gable Steveson get a tech in the very first period. Is there a world where Gable Steveson comes to the UFC, especially he's already tried football, right? He's already tried the WWE. Both of those things have failed. Is it mixed martial arts after he gets done with what looks like winning another NCAA championship?
I love that Gable Steveson is getting a shout out on this show, in all fairness. This is one of the more interesting athletes. So he goes on, he beats a record that our fans will appreciate because it was Henry Cejudo's record. Gable actually beats it, becomes our youngest Olympic gold medalist of all time. Got a couple of years of college eligibility left, decides he's not going to do it, and he's going to, in fact, join the WWE. He does that. He leaves college. He goes and starts professional wrestling. Somewhere along the way, that doesn't work out. Vince, when Vince was still calling the shots, released him. Gable comes back. He's going to go and do freestyle wrestling. We had the Olympic Games, World Championships at the time of this story. He passed on both of those because he was going to play football, and sure enough, he did. He signed with the Buffalo Bills, and he goes off and he plays football. I only saw him do one play ever, but I saw it because it was on Sports Center because he went out and got the tackle, and all of his teammates were cheering him on. Next thing I know, he's been released from the Bills. He finds out that he's got a year left of eligibility, which is extremely debatable, but it's the NCAA, so let's just move on with the story. And he's out there in Minnesota right now, and he's talking about doing
eligibility. How, Jim?
Daniel, no one is I've asked this question, and I even used my influence with ESPN. I went to the NCAA, which has to be transparent. I asked them the exact question, and I'll tell you what the quote is. Was Gable Steveson granted a Olympic redshirt year? And the NCAA wrote me back, and they said, Mr. Sonnen, we cannot confirm that Gable Steveson ever applied for an Olympic redshirt year. And that is a wildly interesting wording that the NCAA chose to use. So at any rate, we don't fully know how he's back, but he is, and I support it, and I'm just sharing, where's he going to go next? He's tried MMA, he's tried football, he's tried, and he doesn't have a bad reputation, by the way. Like a guy that just can't get along with different groups of people. The word gets out on that. That's not what happened here. Everybody kind of liked him. Everybody kind of said he was a gentleman. Everybody kind of said he was a pretty special athlete. So I'm not completely sure what's happening, but I will tell you this. He is truly the best. There has never been a lock for an NCAA title quite like him. There's never been a lock for a world or Olympic title. Like that's just crazy words. Yeah. Well, except for him. But Daniel, if he was to leave this, if he was to not look at Los Angeles and freestyle in 2028 and go into MMA, he's not going to go over to something where he's stepping down because he is the best. And he will know. Training with John Jones, he will know. Gable will know in his heart. Can I do that or should I stay back? That is the one massive benefit that he gets for having access to a workout partner like John Jones.
I love that Gable's wrestling. I think it's awesome. Dude, he's 25 years old. I mean, we all graduated college at like 21, 22. We were done. We were all like off. Go wrestle in the Olympics if you can, or do something different with yourself at 22 years old. This guy turns 25. It's amazing that he has that, but you can see the excitement. Dude, and Minnesota's good. Minnesota beat Ohio State the other day. Like, they're really good, being that they have the heavyweight. I think he can fight. I think if he does decide to fight, he'll be a really good fighter. I think his athleticism, his skill, and the way that he wrestles will translate to mixed martial arts. That is what people don't understand. It's not about just being a great wrestler. It's the way that you wrestle does that, like, transition to fighting. You were a good wrestler, Chael. You had a double leg. Most people don't have the double leg. Honestly, Chael, if I'm being completely honest, like, you're one of the only white dudes that had a double leg like that. No, not everybody has a double leg, right? I didn't have a double leg. But your timing was so good. You got really good with the timing. So when you would hit them, Chael, they didn't really get to defend. They would just fall. That's a double leg in MMA today because the moment they get split, they become extremely difficult to take down. Gable has this ability to get to the clinch and snap you down to the mat. When you start punching with that, unbelievable. I think that is why my wrestling translated so well because I was good from the clinch. When you're good from that clinch, man, you can do some real work, especially at heavyweight. I think that is where Gable Steveson would actually really thrive if he decided to fight. I hope he decides to fight. And at 25 years old, he's going to be right in the prime of his life to really be learning. Athleticism is still there. He's not all beat up. It's just the right time for Steveson to come over to mixed martial arts. Chael,
is he too big? Dale, is he too big? We don't generally see heavyweights that do great, but we do. We just saw with Tyson Fury. Brock Lesnar, of course, did it. But is Gable too big? I'm just asking you that as a wrestler and a heavyweight. Because something happened with Steve Mocco, and everybody that tells the story on Mocco tries to tell you there was an injury, but there wasn't. He's in the practice room every day. Like, we never really got a clarity with what happened with Steve Mocco. And my own personal thought was he was too big. Like, size can work against you at some point. I'm just wondering with Gable and his body type.
Yeah.
Is he too heavy for this sport?
Is he too? If he's 265, I think he's right on the max. I think he probably, honestly, I would like to see him if he does fight around 250. Imagine if he got about 15 pounds of good muscle, he'd be an amazing fighter. But right now, yeah, he's a little big at 265. Chael, before we go, Dominick Cruz is retiring. We're about to have him on the show today, but then he was in the MRI machine right now because of his shoulder. He said after his shoulder went out this last time, he knew that it was over. What do you remember about Dominick Cruz as he bids farewell to this sport that he really did, for little guys, put on the map? Because the WEC to the UFC, the best bantamweight has always been Dominick Cruz.
Oh, come on. Dominick, no question about how great he was. And Daniel, he started to get copied. He started to have guys copy and then take some of the things that they stole from him, and they would take it all the way to championships, and then they wouldn't credit him for it, and then that would like upset him. He should have been flattered. When guys were blatantly copying his work, he should have been flattered, but he wasn't. Dominick Cruz is one of the most interesting guys, Daniel. He can get so mad so fast. I was with it. You want to talk about a retirement party, a story, and I only get to tell one? It'll be this one, because I was in Melbourne, Australia with him. It was for when Robert Whittaker took on Israel Adesanya, and the first time. At any rate, we go out there, and I end up at Burger King with Dom. So we all go through the line at Burger King, then you come to the table with your tray, and so when I get to the table, Dom's already at the table, but he has no food. And so I said I wanted to share my food with him, and I said, Dom, and he goes, oh no, I got food. I got a Whopper Jr. And I go, well, Dom, where is it? He goes, it's in my pocket. And I said, Dom, you have a Whopper in your pocket? And he goes, it's a Junior. It's a Whopper Jr. I'll eat that thing tonight. Think about you, Chael. You're eating right now. You're going to think you're full. You're going to walk back to your hotel, aren't you? I'll get back to my hotel about 2 o'clock. I'll wake up the same as you do. You'll be hungry and realize you don't have a fridge because you're staying in a hotel. I'll wake up and I'll have a Whopper Jr. Fair enough. Fair enough. So I enjoy my meal. We go back to the room. I see Dom the next morning at the airport in line, getting onto the airplane. And I said, did you enjoy that Whopper last night? And he leaned forward and said, I told you it was a Whopper Jr. And that, Daniel, is Dominick Cruz.
He's the best. Bro, he's the best.
The best.
He's the best. Bro, like in terms of fighting, he was an innovator, right? He was an innovator. People didn't fight like Dominick Cruz. They didn't move like Dominick Cruz. He was awesome. But in terms of a person, he's different. He's fun. He can be combative at times. But he is what we love. He's one of the smartest guys you ever meet. And dude, he's not afraid of nothing. I remember, hey, I'm going to give you a quick one before we go. We're in Brazil, right? We go to Brazil, and dude, I'm so afraid because I heard stories. Yo, it's unfortunate what the UFC does. They put you on this beachfront hotel. It's beautiful, the most beautiful beach. It's vast, and you want to go there. But they said that everybody got robbed. Remember the first time they went to Rio de Janeiro, they all got robbed. So I'm scared. I don't go anywhere. We go do the fights. There's a burger shack right on the beach, right? Right on the beach, right out of my window. So I swear, till we get done, it's got to be 2 o'clock in the morning. I look outside on the burger shack, and there's like some little chairs and tables. Nobody's out there. Dominick Cruz is sitting there by himself, eating a burger on that beach in the middle of the night in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I go, Dom, come inside. Come inside. Dom goes, I wish somebody would try to rob me. I'll kill him. I was like, whoa. I was like, dude, you're crazy. He's not scared of nothing, dude. He was out there by himself in the middle of the night eating a hamburger. And they say, hey, don't do this. I can't have your phone up because they ride by and snatch it. Put your wallet away. On Dom's table, here's his second phone, his wallet, his computer. Dom's got everything valuable out for somebody to try to steal from him because, boy, if they try to steal from him, he is going to kick their butts. And I see his phone. He's got his phone. It's like away from his body, hoping somebody would steal it. That's Dominick Cruz. And that's what I will always remember about that dude, man. He's something else. He's something else.
No, he made it. Hey, when he became rich and famous, he went and bought a house in the hood. Daryl Christian didn't want to go see him. Daryl was coaching him. He'd go over there and have to get through a pretty rough neighborhood. And then Dominick's house had like bars on the windows. And Daryl's like, man, what kind of house? And this was his dream home. When he made it, he moved back into the hood and he got the fancy house with the bars on the windows. That's Dominick Cruz.
That's Dominick Cruz. Hey, we'll miss you, Cruz, in the octagon, but I know that we're going to be seeing a lot of you outside the octagon doing what you do. Guys, that's another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. For Chael Sonnen, I'm Daniel Cormier. Chael, see you tomorrow. Till next time. Peace.